I lost my boyfriend and my friend on the same day, but the truth destroyed them more than they destroyed me. I didn't find out my relationship was a lie because I caught Lena cheating in person. I found out because the algorithm decided to ruin my lunch break. 3 weeks earlier, Lena walked into my apartment, where she had practically lived rent-free for a year, and told me she needed space. No warning, no conversation, just a sudden announcement that she was overwhelmed, uncertain about our future, and had to reconnect with herself. She insisted it wasn't a breakup, that she still loved me, but needed time alone. She said she would stay with her sister, Tessa, for a couple of weeks and keep communication minimal so she could think clearly. I didn't beg her to stay. If someone's ready to walk out, holding on to them only delays the inevitable. The same night, Bennett, my closest friend of 6 years, showed up at my place with takeout and a look of genuine concern. He told me Lena probably just panicked about commitment, that time apart might help. For days he checked on me, texted me, invited me out, listened to every worry I had. He was the type of friend who knew everything about me, my doubts, my fears, how deeply I cared for Lena. I trusted him completely. I shouldn't have. 2 Fridays later, during my lunch break at work, I was scrolling without thinking when Bennett's story popped up. A sunset photo. Then a pool. Then. I froze. There was Lena, in a resort pool, her arms around Bennett. The next story showed them kissing, fully and intentionally, with the caption, "Life brings surprises." My coworker stared at me when I suddenly stopped breathing. But I didn't cry. I didn't even feel pain at first. I felt anger, sharp, focused, electric. I called Bennett. Voicemail. Called Lena. Voicemail. Messaged both, explain. Now. Nothing. Meanwhile, more posts appeared, beach photos, resort drinks, coordinated outfits, them laughing together like they hadn't just detonated my trust. I stayed at work. I finished my shift. Breaking down wasn't going to fix anything, and I refused to give them the satisfaction. That night, I sat with my laptop and went through months of their posts and comments. When I looked for signs, they were everywhere. Flirty exchanges I'd brushed off. Photos taken in spots right by Lena's workplace where Bennett said he'd just happened to be. A pattern of small hints that, woven together, created a truth I didn't want to see. I called Rowan, my older sister, and told her everything. She was ready to drive 4 hours to confront both of them in person. I told her not to. I wasn't done thinking, not yet. The whole weekend, Bennett and Lena posted more. They didn't answer a single call or text. They didn't hide. They didn't feel guilty. They wanted the world to see. By Monday, I'd shifted from shock into clarity. I wasn't dealing with 2 people who made an impulsive mistake. I was dealing with 2 people who had planned this, cultivated it, and waited for the perfect moment to reveal it, when Lena had already put emotional distance between us. Tuesday afternoon, I drove past Tessa's place. No car. No sign of Lena. Of course not. She was in Florida, with Bennett. Wednesday, Lena finally called me. She spoke softly, with the kind of rehearsed calm people use when they want to control the narrative. She apologized for the confusion, said she and Bennett had been fighting feelings for months and didn't know how to tell me. She insisted she'd never meant to hurt me, but things developed naturally while she was trying to understand her unhappiness with me. Then I asked the one question that mattered. How long? She hesitated only a second. Months, she said. It just happened. Happened. Like a spilled drink. She said I should try to be happy for them, because Lena and I had run our course and she was helping me move on. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the audacity was so staggering that my shock turned into amusement. I hung up. Then I called Bennett. He answered. He sounded nervous. He tried to feed me a version of the story filled with excuses, how he and Lena connected deeply, how he never intended to betray me, how the 3 of us could someday be on good terms. He admitted that Lena had told him everything I'd confided to her, my insecurities, doubts, private conversations. He called it context. I called it what it was, weaponized trust. When I asked him whether Lena's request for space was just an excuse to try out a relationship with him, his silence was answer enough. I ended the call with 2 words. We're done. That night, I boxed up everything Lena had left at my apartment. I didn't cry once. I didn't reread old messages. I didn't listen to sad songs. I was done grieving someone who had been gone long before she left. The anger kept me steady, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something resembling clarity. But clarity wasn't enough. They wanted to act like I was nothing. That my trust meant nothing. That my loyalty meant nothing. The truth was simple. I wasn't going to let them walk into a happily ever after built on the ruins of my life. They wanted to betray me together? Fine. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. 2 days after cutting Lena and Bennett out of my life, something strange happened: silence. Absolute, intentional silence. They didn't reach out, didn't apologize, didn't try to explain. They posted. And posted. And posted. Photos at restaurants Lena and I had gone to every anniversary. A boomerang of Bennett pulling her close. A shot of them holding hands at a pier, with a caption about new beginnings. It wasn't enough for them to move on. They needed to be seen. If betrayal is a blade, public humiliation is the twist. But instead of breaking me, it sharpened me. I went to work every day. I smiled at customers. I restocked shelves. I kept functioning like nothing inside me was shifting. My co-workers murmured sympathy behind my back, but I didn't want pity. Pity wasn't helpful. Precision was. That Friday night, Rowan called again, demanding an update. "Please tell me you at least screamed at one of them," she asked. "No," I said. "I'm being patient." "Patient?" Rowan practically yelled. "Maris, they made a spectacle out of hurting you." "Exactly," I replied. "They like an audience. Let them think I'm defeated." I heard her exhale slowly, frustration turning into reluctant admiration. "You're planning something." "Yes," I said. "But not what you think." Truthfully, I didn't fully know my plan yet. But I knew one thing. People who cheat always repeat their behavior. And people who betray always believe they'll get away with it again. They had a pattern. I just needed to wait for it to show itself. The following Monday, I crossed paths with both of them in the real world for the first time since their trip. I was grabbing groceries when I turned the corner into the produce aisle, and froze. There they were, laughing next to the peaches like they'd just discovered joy for the first time. Bennett saw me first. His expression flickered: surprise, then discomfort, then something uglier. Satisfaction. He lifted an arm around Lena's waist and tugged her closer, an exaggerated gesture made only for me. Lena looked up at him with soft, practiced affection, then turned toward me with a faint smile. "Hi, Maris," she said, her tone syrupy. "You look, well." Bennett chimed in, "Yeah, we hope you're doing okay. It must be an adjustment." I didn't trust myself to speak yet. Lena continued, "We really hope you can be mature about everything. We don't want bad blood." Mature. Bad blood. Words people use when they feel guilty but want to pretend they're morally superior. Then Bennett gave a small, triumphant smirk and added. "It's sad when someone can't let go of the past. You'll feel better once you move on." They expected me to crumble. Beg for answers. Cry in the aisle beside the citrus fruit. Instead I stood tall, met both their eyes, and said calmly. "I hope you two get exactly what you deserve." Their smiles faltered just slightly, enough for me to catch it, before I turned and walked away. I abandoned my half-filled cart and left the store. My hands were shaking, but not from hurt. From restraint. I knew then, I needed more than distance. I needed truth, unfiltered, undeniable truth, to reach both of them. And karma, when slow, hits the hardest. The next Wednesday, Lena appeared at my job, my pharmacy shift, acting like we were old friends reconnecting. She deliberately chose my register even though 2 others were open. Her expression was warm, almost patronizing. "How have you been?" she asked gently, sliding her prescription across the counter. "Fine," I said. "And you?" "Oh, wonderful," she said brightly. "I've never been happier." She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. "You know, it's okay if you're struggling. You'll find someone eventually. Maybe think about what went wrong so next time works out better." My fingers tightened on the prescription bag, but I kept my face calm. Lena walked away proud of herself. Proud of the cruelty she masked as concern. That night, I realized something. I didn't want revenge out of pettiness. I wanted justice, quiet, undeniable, inevitable. And justice requires information. That's when I remembered something Bennett once confessed during a late-night conversation years ago. Something I hadn't thought about until that moment. His ex, Avery. The girl he'd dated for over a year. The one he'd sworn wasn't a real relationship. But Avery had told me something different after they broke up. She'd cried, saying Bennett had cheated on her multiple times, 3, to be exact, each time with someone he claimed was just a friend. And every time, he'd justified it by saying he felt emotionally disconnected. A pattern. A predictable, repeatable pattern. Bennett always chased what felt new. Lena always chased validation. Neither of them were stable enough to last. I didn't need to sabotage them. All I needed was the truth to surface. Still, truth sometimes requires a push. So I looked up Avery on Instagram. Her account had changed since we last talked, more tattoos, short hair, bright captions about healing and moving forward. She looked stronger than when Bennett left her shattered. I hesitated a moment, then sent her a message. Hi Avery. It's Maris. I think we should talk about Bennett. Something's happening again. She responded within 10 minutes. I know. I've seen the posts. Tell me everything. We met that Saturday at a cafe near the waterfront. Avery arrived with the confidence of someone who has already survived the worst version of a man. She didn't even wait for me to start. Let me guess, she said, sitting down. He left you for someone else but pretended you were the problem. Sound familiar? I exhaled slowly. It's Lena, I said. My former best friend. Avery blinked, then shook her head with a sad smile. He's predictable. Always wants someone who feeds his ego. We talked for an hour, about patterns, about the lies, about the way Bennett always justified everything as fate or emotional growth. We both realized something important. Bennett wasn't just a cheater. He was a collector. He loved the chase, not the commitment. He saw relationships as stepping stones. And Lena? She was his next stone. Avery leaned back in her chair, studying me carefully. You know he won't stay loyal to her, right? He never does. I know, I said quietly. I'm counting on it. Avery smirked. So what's your plan? I'm not looking to destroy them, I said. I'm looking to expose them, to themselves. Avery tapped her fingers thoughtfully against her iced coffee. Well, she said, if you ever need help, I owe Bennett a reality check. When we parted, I realized something huge. For the first time since Lena betrayed me, I wasn't alone. There were others he had discarded, others who understood exactly what kind of man he was, and how predictable his self-sabotage could be. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to let Bennett and Lena be exactly who they were. And when they inevitably collapsed, I wanted front row seats. Because the fall was coming. And they had no idea how close they were to the edge. The week after meeting with Avery felt strangely calm, like the quiet moment before a storm breaks open the sky. Bennett and Lena kept posting their curated version of happiness, but cracks were beginning to show if you looked close enough. Small things. A missing like here. A story view missing there. A caption that sounded a little too defensive. People who are genuinely happy don't need to keep proving it. On Wednesday, Rowan dragged me out to dinner, insisting I needed to touch grass, as she put it. The rooftop restaurant was warm and alive with chatter, the kind of place I used to dream of going to with Bennett. Funny how dreams change. We had barely ordered appetizers when Rowan's eyes flicked over my shoulder. Oh my God, she whispered. Do not turn around. My stomach tightened. Rowan. It's them. Of course it was them. Because the universe has a dark sense of humor sometimes. I didn't turn around. I didn't give them that power. But I felt their presence like a splinter under the skin. Their laughter. Their forced sweetness. Rowan leaned in. He looks miserable, she whispered. Like he's trying too hard. Good. I kept my eyes forward, forcing myself to focus on my friend, not the ghosts behind me. Then I heard her voice, Lena, bright and performative, like she wanted the whole restaurant to hear. Bennett, seriously, stop. You're being ridiculous. He muttered something low, frustrated. Interesting. Rowan smirked at me. Trouble in paradise. I shrugged, keeping my tone light. Not my problem. But inside, a very quiet, very cold satisfaction settled in. We finished dinner without incident, but as Rowan and I walked toward the exit, we passed close enough to Bennett and Lena that I caught a glimpse of their table. Lena had her arms crossed, eyes sharp with irritation. Bennett looked exhausted, rubbing his temples. She saw me first. Her face brightened in an instant, fake, brittle, too sweet. Maris. Hi, she chirped loudly, as if we'd been best friends just last week. I smiled politely. Evening. Bennett looked up then, and for a split second, I saw it, regret. Real, raw regret flashing in his eyes before he forced a stiff smile. Hey, he said quietly. Rowan stepped closer, protective. Let's go. We walked away without another word, leaving them in the middle of whatever argument they were pretending wasn't happening. Outside, the cool night air felt refreshing after the suffocating artificial cheer inside. Rowan exhaled. Maris, they looked like they were seconds away from clawing each other's faces off. I shrugged. Patterns don't disappear. They repeat. She gave me a look, half impressed, half concerned. You sound like you're studying them for a research paper. I didn't respond, because she wasn't wrong. Watching Bennett and Lena implode was like watching two storms collide, inevitable, violent, and entirely self-created. And I wasn't even involved yet. The next morning, things escalated. At 9:47 a.m. Avery sent me a screenshot. Lena had messaged her. Not me. Not Bennett's brother. Not anyone mutual. Avery. Avery, who Bennett had cheated on. Avery, who Lena had never met. Avery, who had absolutely no reason to be contacted, unless something was cracking. The message was short. Hi, this is random, but, did Bennett ever seem distant with you? Like emotionally? Just curious. Avery had responded exactly as we discussed, politely, neutrally, but with enough ambiguity to keep Lena spiraling. We had our issues. Why do you ask? Lena didn't answer. She disappeared from Instagram for almost 3 hours. 3 hours. Lena never went 3 hours without posting unless something was wrong. Meanwhile, Bennett posted a story alone, a picture of his coffee mug and a vague caption about needing clarity. Clarity. He was unraveling. By noon, my phone buzzed again. Avery. She's spiraling. Want me to push? I stared at the message for a long minute. And then replied. Yes. Avery messaged Lena again. If you're worried he's pulling back, trust your gut. He did that with me too. The typing bubble appeared instantly. Disappeared. Reappeared. Then Lena sent. He said he's just stressed. But, something feels off. He's been weird since we got back. Avery sent me a screenshot of the whole exchange. Rowan, when I told her, responded simply. This is art. But I didn't celebrate yet. I needed the pressure to keep building. Just enough to reveal the real fault lines. Because people show their true colors when they're cornered. And I knew exactly how to corner them without ever touching them. That evening, something else happened, something I didn't expect. I got a message request. From an account with no profile picture. Username, TruthHurts92. For a second, I thought it was some troll. But I opened it anyway. The message was chillingly simple. You should know, Lena has been texting someone else too. Not just Bennett. My pulse quickened. I replied. Who? Seconds later, the answer came. A guy named Nolan. She met him at her gym. They've been messaging since before she got with Bennett. My breath caught. I didn't know if it was real. I didn't know who this person was. But then they sent screenshots. Actual screenshots. Lena flirting. Lena sending selfies. Lena writing things like, "You're so much more interesting than the guys I usually date. Sometimes I wish I'd met you first. We should hang out sometime. Just us." Dates on the screenshots. 1 week after she and Bennett returned from Florida. She was already scouting her next escape route. Of course she was. I forwarded everything to Avery and Rowan. Rowan immediately called me. Maris. This is it. This is the match. She's about to burn her whole life down herself. Avery texted right after. She's cheating on him already. You don't even need a plan anymore. But I did. Because I wanted the truth to reach Bennett in the most undeniable way. Not out of revenge. Out of justice. Because they had robbed me of the truth for months. I was going to return it, not with cruelty, but with clarity. And clarity hurts. The next day, Lena showed up at my pharmacy again. She looked tense, smiling too wide, eyes too frantic. Hey, she said brightly. Can we talk? No, I answered calmly. She blinked. What? Why not? Because we're not friends, I said. And because every time you talk to me, you're either lying or trying to make yourself feel better. Her face hardened. You know, she said sharply, you're being dramatic. You act like you're perfect, but maybe Bennett cheated because you weren't enough. I didn't flinch. I was enough, I said quietly. Just not for someone who didn't want to be faithful. She opened her mouth, ready to spit something venomous, but her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. And every ounce of color drained from her face. Avery had messaged her again. With advice. Strategically timed. I watched Lena swallow hard, eyes darting like she was hiding something. Something new. Something urgent. She looked back at me, suddenly defensive. You don't know anything about my relationship, she snapped. I smiled softly. You're right. I don't have to. I stepped away from the register and walked into the back room, leaving her standing there alone. Because now, for the first time, Lena wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing him. And that fear? That was going to unravel everything. By Thursday evening, the tension around Bennett and Lena's relationship wasn't just visible, it was practically vibrating through every corner of their online life. Lena had stopped posting selfies. Bennett had unfollowed 2 of her friends. And mutual acquaintances were whispering. That's when I knew the moment had finally arrived. I didn't have to strike first. They were already bleeding. Still, truth deserved precision, not chaos. I wasn't going to throw the evidence into the world recklessly. I wasn't trying to destroy lives, I was forcing honesty into a place built entirely on deception. So I waited. And the collapse came on its own. Around 8:30 p.m. my phone buzzed with a message from Avery. Emergency. Check Lena's story. I opened Instagram. Lena had posted a black screen with text. Funny how people turn out to be liars. No heart emojis. No dramatic soundtrack. Just anger. Then another. Some men pretend to be loyal but talk to their ex behind your back. Good to know. My eyebrows lifted. I hadn't expected that move. Avery sent another message. They're fighting. Big fight. Bennett's at Milo's place. Lena's blowing up group chats accusing him of cheating. Cheating? I laughed out loud. The hypocrisy was almost poetic. But then another message came in. She saw screenshots of Bennett liking some old pictures of yours. She's losing it. Not my doing. Not part of the plan. Just the universe adding seasoning. I didn't comment. Didn't engage. I simply watched Lena unravel publicly. Minutes later, a new message notification flashed. From an unknown number. I knew immediately who it was. Bennett. I opened it. Maris. I know you hate me, but Lena is accusing me of cheating on her with you. I'm so tired. Can we talk? Not a chance. I replied. No. Handle your own choices. He responded instantly. You don't understand. She's breaking things. Screaming. I don't know what to do. She keeps saying you've been manipulating everything. That made me laugh again. Manipulating? If only she knew how much of this she'd built with her own hands. I typed. This isn't my problem, Bennett. Then muted the entire conversation. Because the beautiful truth was. I wasn't involved. Not anymore. I had stepped away days ago. They were now destroying each other without my help. But I still had the ace in my pocket. The video. The proof. The final truth they hadn't even seen yet. I wasn't planning to use it, not unless they tried to rewrite history again. And then, of course, they did. At 9:12 p.m. Lena posted. Some people are obsessed with ruining my happiness. Jealousy is a disease. Avery sent me a screenshot. Rowan texted me. Drop it. Drop the bomb. Now. And for the first time in weeks. I agreed. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But because she was lying again. And lying people hurt everyone around them. So I opened my burner Instagram account. Attached the video file. Crystal clear. Her face. Her voice. Her choices. And sent it directly to Bennett. No caption. No commentary. Just truth. 5 minutes passed. Then 7. Then 11. Finally, at 9:28 p.m. my phone exploded. Bennett called. Over and over. I didn't answer. He texted. Where did you get that? Then. Is this real? Tell me this is edited. Then. Maris, I'm begging you, say something. I answered with the only sentence he deserved. Believe your own eyes. He didn't respond after that. But Lena did. Her messages were frantic, disorganized, unraveling. Why would you do this? You're insane. You set me up. That video is fake. Everyone makes mistakes. If this gets out, I will lose everything. Please take it back. Please just delete it. Maris, I'm begging you. I didn't reply. Because I didn't need to. The truth was handling everything for me now. Around midnight, Rowan called. Her voice was breathless. Maris, she said, Bennett and Lena are done. Completely done. I sat on my couch, staring at the dark TV screen. Already? Maris, he left her apartment. Loudly. I mean shouting loudly. Neighbors recorded it. That surprised me. I had expected anger, yes. But not devastation. Rowan continued. He confronted her with the video. She tried to lie. Then tried to blame you. Then tried to blame Jason. Then said she wasn't emotionally ready to be exclusive yet. Then started crying. He walked out. I closed my eyes, leaning back on the couch. It was over. Really, truly over. Not because of me. Not because of the plan. But because people who build relationships on betrayal eventually drown in the same waters they swam in. Truth has sharp teeth. And Lena had finally met them. The next morning, I expected chaos. But what I got instead was silence. No calls. No messages. No news stories from either of them. Nothing. Until 2:14 p.m. when Bennett sent one last message. I deserve everything that happened. I won't bother you again. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Some apologies come too late to matter. Later that evening, Rowan and I walked along the pier. The salty air felt refreshing, freeing. For the first time in months, the weight on my chest lifted. You know, Rowan said, nudging me, you're terrifying in the best way. I laughed softly. I'm not terrifying. I'm just done being stepped on. She nodded. And now? Now, I said, looking out at the water, I get my life back. Avery texted me later. You did the right thing. Maybe I had. Maybe I hadn't. But I had done the honest thing. And that mattered more. The next few weeks were quiet. Peaceful. Healthy. I rebuilt. I healed. I moved forward. Bennett moved out of town. Lena deleted her social media. Their drama faded like old noise. And me? I finally slept without tension in my shoulders. I laughed freely. I felt like myself again. Because betrayal doesn't define you. But how you rise afterward does. And I rose. Higher than they ever expected. Higher than they ever dreamed. Thank you for watching the video. Like it if you watched the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.